Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? You hear a lot about Roth IRA conversions, and that's when you take a taxable distribution from a traditional IRA and you convert it to a Roth IRA, and that is way too simple of an explanation. Is it right for you? As always, it depends on your situation. Eric Strom is Financial Planning Manager and a CFP at Annex Wealth Management. Hello, Eric.
Hi, Danny.
Tom Berkholtz is a CFP and Financial Planning Specialist at Annex Wealth Management. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Danny.
Eric, how about a quick definition of how the Roth IRA came to be? How it operates compared to a regular IRA?
Well, Roth IRAs are relatively new. They were introduced in 1997, named after Senator William Roth. Here's how they work, Danny. You actually don't get a tax deduction when you put money into a Roth IRA. That's what makes it different from the traditional. But once you have the money in there, it grows tax-free, and if you play by the rules, it actually comes out tax-free as well, and that's why financial planners like them so much.
Do you find that people, when they're younger, don't want to pay that tax now? They push it down the tracks, and isn't that why we're kind of in this situation?
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. Yeah, we do see that.
Tom, what's the rule of thumb when deciding to do a Roth conversion, or is that way too broad of a question?
Well, a generic rule of thumb is simply a question of, do you think between now and your death will taxes be higher or lower? If the answer is higher, many people choose to pay the taxes now, lock in today's rates with a Roth conversion, and insulate themselves from future tax rate hikes. But you know what's interesting? A lot of clients have told me if I could just go back in time, I would have invested more into my Roth. But the reality is, like Eric mentioned, the Roth was created in 1997, and even today, a lot of 401ks don't even offer a Roth option. That is some of the appeal of a Roth conversion, because it's not about what happened in the past. It's about what you can do today to alleviate future taxes.
I believe you're somewhere in your 20s. Do you fight this battle?
I do. Personally, I try to establish tax diversification now, so in the future, I'm in a good spot.
I think you're smarter than the average bear. Eric, is there a possibility that tax rates rise? How does it affect the conversation about the conversion?
Well, first of all, we already know that tax rates are rising, because at the end of 2025, the lower tax rates that we've had from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act are expiring. So we know already tax rates are going up. However, a lot of people think we're seeing all this new spending. We're seeing the debt of the nation increasing. And with all of that, we might see higher tax rates in the future. And that absolutely affects the conversion discussion, because if you think tax rates are going to be higher, that's what makes the conversion more appealing today.
And what's that saying about death and taxes, right? We know those two things will happen.
Yes, we
That's
certainly
right.
do.
Talking about Roth conversions and how we approach them on behalf of our clients at Annex Wealth Management. Tom, what's a ballpark? I'm curious, how many Roth conversions do we do in a typical year?
Yeah, we do hundreds of conversions for our clients every year, and usually the goal is the same. It's tax diversification, because just like how investors want diversification in a portfolio with stocks and bonds and potentially other assets, additionally, a portfolio in theory should have proper tax diversification as well. What I mean by that is a portion in taxable assets, a portion deferred pre-tax, and some tax-free. But really, to answer your question, something I really pride myself on the financial planning team here at Annex is we take a very comprehensive, detail-oriented approach to Roth conversion. So we're not giving blanket advice that you should always do this or never do that. We really let the math tell us what makes sense.
Eric Strom is Financial Planning Manager and a CFP at Annex Wealth Management. Tom Berkholtz is a CFP and Financial Planning Specialist at Annex. Is there potential for unintended consequences with Roth IRAs? I mean, does that affect Medicare premiums, things like that?
Yes, and it certainly does affect Medicare premiums as one example. And I will say that the unintended consequences, that's almost why Tom and I and others have a job, because it's so darn complicated. You mentioned Medicare premiums. Your Part B and Part D Medicare premiums depend on your income. So if you start voluntarily accelerating taxes into this year with a Roth conversion, that can really up your Medicare premiums. And then there's other obstacles as well. There's net investment income tax as an example. That's an extra tax that higher income earners can face. So we are always trying to navigate all of those different obstacles in addition to the tax brackets themselves to decide about conversions.
Tom, how about clients who have already begun taking Social Security benefits or required IRA distributions? Do Roth conversions have an effect there?
Great question. Like a lot of things in finance, it depends. A Roth conversion can really be thought of as artificially receiving more income because you're paying the taxes on it. So someone with income from these other sources do have to weigh the pros and cons of potential consequences of a conversion in any given year, like Eric was alluding to. Another big thing is tax torpedoes. So sometimes if you do a Roth conversion, you subject your Social Security to additional taxes or even bump your capital gains rate up or phase yourself out of certain tax credits you want to receive. So it's really good to get a customized calculation for every tax year before completing a Roth conversion.
And we'd like to help you through that process, folks. We sure do it for our clients for investment and retirement planning, tax planning, and estate planning. We do it as a fee-only fiduciary. Know the difference. The website, annexwealth.com. Click that Get Started button. Start the wealth metric process. Tom Berkholtz, CFP and Financial Planning Specialist at Annex Wealth Management. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
And Eric Strom, Financial Planning Manager and CFP at Annex Wealth Management. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.